There's been a lot of hoopla about Dylan Cruz entering spring training this year, and as you've seen, he's kind of already been looking pretty damn good. So what are the odds that Dylan Cruz can crack the opening day lineup? Well, there's some odds.
You are Locked On Nationals, your daily Washington Nationals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcast. And of course, I'm your host, Ryan Clary. You can catch me over on Twitter at RyanClary11 and as well as the show page at LO_Nationals. For all your latest Nationals news and notes, just make sure to check us out over on Twitter. And while you're at it, make sure to search us up over on YouTube. Search Locked On Nationals. Hit that subscriber button, please. And thank you very much. Later on in today's show, Patrick Corbin was named the spring training opening starter, whatever you want to call him, in spring training. Game one, he's going to be the starting pitcher. Not Mackenzie Gore, not the all-star Josiah Gray, Patrick Corbin. Oh no. We're going to discuss that and what it could mean for opening day, for the real opening day coming up here later on in March. We'll discuss that later on in today's show. And then let's start right here with Dylan Cruz, though, because this has been the overwhelming kind of storyline over the last few days outside of Steven Strasburg stuff and as well as outside of ownership stuff here. So let's get into it. But today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Again, Locked On for $20 off your first purchase. Dylan Cruz has opened up spring training here as one of the bigger storylines here with the Nationals, obviously being the second overall pick in the 2023 MLB draft, coming out of LSU, the Golden Spikes Award winner, national champion there, one of the craziest runs that you have ever seen, got on base on every single college game in 2023. Unbelievable season for Dylan Cruz. Comes over to the Nationals, looked very well there as he kind of escalated up from rookie ball all the way to low A Fredericksburg, all the way and then up to double A Harrisburg, in which he kind of struggled up in double A. But still, when you're playing from mid-February all the way through the end of September, you're going to have some struggles at the end of the day. So now with Dylan Cruz, there's starting to been some rumblings here because he's taking live BP off some major league caliber pitchers. Man, it's not all these great pitchers. It's Cole Henry, another former teammate of his at LSU. There's a couple other guys, and Dylan Cruz has been holding his own. And a lot of people, and I believe Spencer Newbaum from the Washington Post, I could have been watching his name there, new beat reporter. We'll make sure to get that right moving forward. But Spencer wrote about this and why Dylan Cruz has this kind of Strasburg / Harper effect to him already, where he's already kind of feeling this aura around him with fans going down there, wanting to get his autograph. And it's similar to really what Bryce Harper and Steven Strasburg were for this organization back in the day. Fast forward 10 plus years. Now this is Dylan Cruz. This is where he sits going forward, and this is the right place to sit. Can he actually crack the opening day lineup, though? Because let's be honest, Dylan Cruz, if you were to enter him in this Nationals lineup, in the Major League lineup right here, right now, with considering everything else, with what this team could look like, Dylan Cruz would probably be the Nationals' best offensive player, maybe outside of C.J. Abrams and Lane Thomas, and maybe Keibert Ruiz. But I would really realistically put Dylan Cruz in that category to be one of the more impactful players if you were to start day one. Now, it's not a matter of how impactful he is. We all know what the hit tool is. You all know what he's going to provide once he gets up to the majors. And there's really a case for him to already just be ready for the major leagues. But is he going to be in the majors on day one? And should he be? It's kind of two different questions. Well, number one, the main question here is, could he crack the opening day lineup? Ultimately, I don't think he will. And I don't think he should, in fact. Now, can he? Would he do it? And would he actually succeed? I think he would succeed. I think he's a good enough hitter already to which he could probably make the jump to the majors. There are some issues to clean up with him, just kind of identifying the strike zone, getting used to being an everyday sort of player with the major leagues, playing 162 games, getting yourself in shape for it. As you saw last year, he kind of ran out of fumes at the end of the year. Once you get past that 100-game mark or however many games he played last year, there were a lot. That's the moral of the story here. But now going forward, Dylan Cruz should not be in consideration. And really, people are going to talk about how there is an open competition in center field, as David Martinez alluded to, but Dylan Cruz is not going to be in that competition right now. He'll say that he's in the mix, but even then, we all know this is not what the Nationals want to do. You should not be in any sort of rush for Dylan Cruz to get up into the major leagues, because really the pros don't really outweigh the cons of what could happen here. Dylan Cruz means way too much for this organization to really just rush up into the bigs and hopefully he does something. That's not what you want at this moment in time. If the Nationals were maybe a year ahead in this rebuild, maybe going into next year, and you had someone like Dylan Cruz up in your organization, then you would actually kind of think about that, because that is someone who can kind of put you over the hump. That is someone that can really just solidify your lineup and kind of be the cherry on top of hopefully what is a much improved offense going into this year. But as we sit here today, there's a lot of pundits out there who think the Nationals will be taking a step back. And quite frankly, it's kind of looking like the Nationals could take a step back from a win-loss strategy here. I don't think Dylan Cruz is going to improve that if you were to start on opening day. Because the moral of the story here is he's going to be in the majors at some point this year. But you just want to make sure that it's the right time for Dylan Cruz, because you have seen it at times in the past. You could make a case that Victor Robles, and this is kind of something that I've made, but even not Victor Robles, let's kind of look at Luis Garcia and Carter Kieboom. Two guys who were top 100 prospects. Luis Garcia had a short stint on most lists, but Carter Kieboom, he was a top 100 prospect basically at any site that you looked at going into 2019, 2020, and as well as 2021. Carter Kieboom got called up way too premature, in my opinion. And you saw how that worked out. Obviously, he never really got his 2 feet in the door up in the majors, never really got a full, honest opportunity, because the Nationals were kind of bringing him up into the majors. He wasn't doing too hot. And then he got sent back down to AAA and kind of did that yo-yo effect for many different times, similar to what they have done through Luis Garcia from 2020 all the way through this last season when they sent him down to AAA Rochester again. You don't really want that. That's not a goal for this team. And in fact, in my opinion, I think it's a terrible thing. I think it's a terrible thing for someone's confidence, for a young ball player's confidence, for Dylan Cruz. I'm not concerned about Dylan Cruz's confidence, though. National champion, best player in college baseball this last year, one of the best hitting tools that you have ever seen come into the draft. I'm not concerned about his confidence. I think he knows how good he is, and that's something that you want from a future center fielder here in DC. But with the Nationals, you've seen them make that mistake in the past where you maybe want to just have someone come up a little bit early, fill up a spot, even just for a few weeks here while maybe Victor Robles rehabs from an injury, or name that National rehabs from an injury. They should not be doing that with Dylan Cruz. You need to take your time with this guy. You need to make sure that this guy is ready to go, because this is someone who is not only going to be the face of your franchise, this is going to be the face of the NL East potentially someday. He's that good. You don't want this guy to just go out there and throw him out there prematurely, kind of ruin his confidence, send him back down, maybe have those same struggles down in AAA as he did up in the majors, and create bad habits. That is what this is all about. And we've talked about this a lot in the past. This is a player development thing in which the Nationals, let's be honest, they've had some issues with. So if you were to go out there and just throw Dylan Cruz up in the major leagues, maybe a little bit too early, it would be a problem, because I would not have faith in this Nationals team. If he were to struggle prematurely, then you send him back down, bring him back up. I would not have faith that it would go all too well. And it has gone well in the past. You've seen guys like Trey Turner get sent down at some point, but even then that was for different reasons and everything. You don't want to do that, though. That's a dangerous game to play, especially when it comes to someone who is a top 10 prospect in all of baseball. When you have someone with Dylan Cruz talent, with his really just attitude and everything about Dylan Cruz, you don't want this guy to have ruined confidence. You don't want to botch this one. You can do it with Carter Kieboom, a later first-round pick. You can do it with Victor Robles. You can do it with Luis Garcia. Dylan Cruz? Not here. You got to make sure that this guy is fully developed, give him all the tools, all the resources in order to help your team, because this is not a win now situation here in DC. It's not. We all know that. This is going to be probably another tough season here in Washington, D.C. But you know what else isn't? 2024 or 2025, really. 1 year away. That is the Nationals year. That is when Dylan Cruz is going to be on your opening day lineup. That's when Dylan Cruz or James Wood will be on your opening day lineup as well. Brady House, all these big prospects. That is where our eyes are set on right now. 2024, you're going to see these guys at some point up in the majors, but it should not be on opening day, especially Dylan Cruz. Let this guy cook. Let him develop down in the minors and then see where he's at maybe sometime down the line. Thank you all for making Locked On Nats your first listen every single day. And if you haven't already, check us out over on YouTube. Search Locked On Nationals. Hit that subscriber button. You will not want to miss the video version of this podcast. Next, Patrick Corbin. It's happening again, everybody. Patrick Corbin has been named Game 1 of spring training starter, the opening day of spring training starter, whatever you want to say with that. You all know what we're going to be talking about now. Are the Nationals really going to do Patrick Corbin for the real opening day yet again? We'll discuss that after we talk to you guys about our good friends over at Gametime. And guys, when we talk about Gametime, you need to know all the good things about this app, because Gametime is just simply incredible. You should never have to worry about buying tickets to your next big event, because Gametime is a fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater near you. When we talk about Gametime, guys, you need to know that all things here are just the best. They have last-minute tickets, flash deals, and zone deals, and that is what separates Gametime from the rest of those dumb apps. They're easy to find and buy tickets for every kind of event in your area. There are views from your seats, which is my personal favorite. You can see if anyone's obstructing your view, or maybe you're at Wrigley Field someday. You all know they have those weird columns in the middle of the section. Gametime, you view that. If you see a column there, Gametime will show you it right then on your phone. And also, it's just 2 clicks away to get your tickets. It is that easy with our friends over at Gametime. So take the guessing work out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Next, let's get into some not sad news. What am I saying? That's the baby way to look at it, to say the least. The Nationals have named Patrick Corbin your Game 1 starter for spring training. Did we expect this? You probably should have. I did. I expected it. But the reason why I want to talk about this is kind of just to air some things out. Why are we doing this? And this is all for Nationals fans. If you're in the comment section over on YouTube, express your displeasure. Express what you feel. Because let's be honest, if Patrick Corbin is going to be starting on opening day yet again, just wave the white flag on the season. You have an all-star starting pitcher on this roster with Josiah Gray. You have another former top prospect in all of baseball with Mackenzie Gore, who looked much better than Patrick Corbin this last year. Listen, I know this. Opening day is a ceremony. It's all about semantics. It's game 1 of the year, but still, what kind of message does that send? You can make the case that starting Patrick Corbin is not a bad thing, because number one, it does show loyalty. And that is an important factor, especially when you're coming in with free agents and you want guys to sign with your team. Davey Martinez and Mike Rizzo is about as loyal as they come. I salute them for that. But also at the end of the day, we're all professionals, or not we. They're all professionals. They're at the top of the industry. When you are a professional, I'm not here. Let's put it in this perspective. You're going in for a surgery at Inova Fairfax, wherever it may be. You're going in for surgery. The surgeon's like, you know what? Instead of my top assistant, the person who has been with me, the person who we know each other like the back of our own hands, I'm going to give it to the student. Let's let the student come in and take a step up and have him do this surgery. No. This is professional baseball, man. This is Major League Baseball. You have to put the best player out there. I understand the loyalty aspect of it. I respect it. I get it. I think that is what separates David Martinez from other managers. But still, I already know what's going to happen with this. You're going to put out Patrick Corbin on opening day. And guess what? Up in Cincinnati, when you're there at Great American Ballpark with Patrick Corbin there, it's going to be tough. It's going to be a very tough time. What are we going to do then? What is the end goal with Patrick Corbin as your opening day starter? It doesn't necessarily make too much sense. In fact, it does not whatsoever. Why are we doing this? Why do you continue to do this to yourself, Nationals? It just simply does not make sense. They're going to be going out there with Patrick Corbin on opening day, a day that you should be celebrating, a day that you should be going into this year and say, this is about the future. The Nationals, we've known we've been bad in years past. We expect to still be sort of bad, but still our eyes are on the future. When you have a sold-out crowd at Great American Ballpark, throw one of your deep guys out there. Throw one of the young guys out there. Throw Josiah Gray. Throw Mackenzie Gore, and hell, even throw Jake Irvin if you want to. Get someone else out there. To have day one, last year with the Atlanta Braves, when I saw that Patrick Corbin was the opening day starter, it was just kind of like, what are we doing? And now you're going into this season against another very good team with the Cincinnati Reds. And again, we're kind of jumping the guns here, but it's February 22nd. We need to. Because you know this is going to happen, Nationals fans. You know that Patrick Corbin will be there game one. And seriously, like all jokes aside, it's kind of a funny joke. It's just one game out of 162. You got 161 games left. And really, what's the big deal? But still, opening day is a little bit different, man. It just is. You have to have something better, something to get Nationals fans' hopes up just a little bit more. Because let's be honest, when Patrick Corbin is out there, when he's out there every 5 days, when God bless him too, by the way, pitches every 5 days, takes the ball, never gets hurt, never complains, never throws his teammates under the bus, one of the better teammates in the game of baseball. You've never heard Patrick Corbin anything bad about the guy. Anything. But you cannot tell me that you're a little upset seeing Patrick Corbin starting on opening day, potentially starting on opening day, starting game one of spring training. And why don't you just throw your all-star, man? Because that's what it's about. It's ace versus ace that day. One of the rare days of the year that you can have your number one starter go against the opposing team's number one starter. It what's make this game so great. You have that on opening day. The best versus the best. And you're going to be throwing Patrick Corbin yet again. It's not encouraging. And I think that is the overwhelming picture of this, especially when you have a fan base who, let's be honest, they're a little checked out at this moment in time. If the Nationals were to go this route on opening day, how would you feel? Probably wouldn't feel all too great. And again, this is not going to be a home game when you're going up to Cincinnati or down to Cincinnati or west to Cincinnati, wherever Cincinnati is, who cares? If they were to go this route, you'd just be discouraged. It would just be a flat, just kind of deep inhale and say, oh boy, here we go. You got to play the young guys. You simply just have to play the young guys and see what can happen with that going forward. Because that is what it's all about. That is what this game is all about. And that is what the Nationals need to be looking forward to and need to be prioritizing heading into 2024 for a potential breakout in 2025. That is where the Nationals should be going forward. Thank you all for making Locked On Nats your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. And of course, check us out over on Twitter. Search us up, Ryan Clary 11 for myself, at LO_Nationals for the show page as well. And while you're at it, search Locked On Nationals on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. Hit that subscriber button. But of course, YouTube, Locked On Nationals. You will not want to miss a damn thing there. Next, just kind of get into some more thoughts on spring training, some news and notes, who's been looking good, who's been up, who's been down. We'll discuss that after I tell you guys about our good friends over at FanDuel. And guys, when we talk about FanDuel, you need to know that get buckets, that you can get buckets with your first bet on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 if your bet wins. Bet on all your favorite NBA players and teams with quick bets, live same-game parlays, exclusive props, and much, much more. So when you go visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and shoot your shot. FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA. And guys, visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and shoot your shot. Thank you all for making Locked On Nats your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcast. First and foremost, before we go through this, I will be down at spring training from March 2nd all the way through March 6th there for a few days, from Saturday all the way through that Wednesday. If you're a Locked On Nationals listener, DM me or tweet at me or comment in the YouTube section. Maybe we can meet down in West Palm Beach, catch Nats game together, meet and talk some Nationals. And we'll even talk Dylan Cruz, because that's what we all want to talk about. We want to see the young guys play. We're going to all see these young guys on display down at spring training at West Palm Beach. If you're down there, let me know. If you intend to be down there, let me know again. We'll try to meet up, try to have a good time there down in West Palm. Overwhelming here. The Nationals in spring training, it's been a little bit of, it's been a slow start, I guess you could say. It's been a little bit of a slow start. And even then, the Nationals, you kind of expected this. You kind of expected the Nationals to have a little bit of a slow start down in spring training. It's not that you're already playing games already. It's not that there's really been anything happening down in West Palm at this point. But the one thing that I do want to highlight here, just kind of going into it as we're just a few days away from him having to show up, is Steven Strasburg. Steven Strasburg so far has not been there as far as 9:58 a.m. on February 22nd. That is when this podcast is being recorded. He has not been showing up just yet. Is he going to show up? Because that is really the big picture storyline from spring training right now, outside of the ownership thing and as well as Dylan Cruz. What is going to happen with Steven Strasburg? What will the Nationals do with this? Because at this moment, the Nationals, they're going to be kind of in some trouble with the franchise icon, the World Series MVP. If you had this guy not show up, what's going to happen? Well, number one, he's obviously going to get fined by some sort. Maybe it could be by the owners. I don't really know what legal action could be made by that. But if I was Steven Strasburg, number one, I'd show up. You're going to be getting paid millions and millions of dollars for the next 5-6 years to not pitch baseball games, to not do your job. And that's not his fault, obviously. Thoracic outlet syndrome. Salute the guy and what he does. Franchise icon. You can't really say too much about him. But on the other hand with it, this is going to be a storyline. If he does not show up and kind of stiffs the Nationals and say, listen, we got to figure out something here. There's so much unknown about this situation here with Steven Strasburg, but I just kind of wanted to highlight that. And tomorrow's show, right before the deadline, we're going to be talking about a lot of Steven Strasburg. I can promise you that. Thank you all for making Locked On Nats your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcast. And again, on tomorrow's show, we're going to be talking a lot about Steven Strasburg, because this is something that the Nationals, in my opinion, just simply cannot mess up. And let's be honest, it's looking like they're going to mess this up. And that is very unfortunate to do when it comes to Steven Strasburg. Again, franchise legend, someone that you want to see wearing this curly W hat for the rest of time, in which he will. He'll never pitch for another team again, but you would like to see it end on better terms. Just simply does not look all too great right now. But we'll talk about spring training, who's been up, who's been down, and of course, Steven Strasburg watch. It's on. I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Have a good one.